dreading the day he expires. I mean, vac pets are coming to reboot, so more pay to win. I don't want vac pets in the game, but you know, it's not my decision. There's already too much pay to win, in my opinion. Price tag is too high as well. It's a good decision for Korea, but I don't think it's a good decision for GMS. I guess Nexon's revenue is gonna go up. They will still lose money. Quarter 1 of this year was the first year they've made a profit in, not a huge, but still something. Yeah, Nexon has been steadily losing money for like the last 5 years. I've been looking at their investor presentations for like the last 3 years. And they've never turned a profit. I don't know, there's a lot of things that I think this game could benefit from taking a more westernized approach for GMS. Because we're a different audience from... which is why Reboot is so popular in here and it's not that popular in KMS. Like one of the first things I do in GMS, I don't know what they hire GMS people to do, because they don't really have a... they don't have a big development team, so I don't know exactly who works at GMS, at Nexon NA, but first thing I would do is hire more artists and then feed the thing back into Korea, because one of the big selling points for the West is cosmetics, so you don't have enough cosmetics for a GMS whale. There's just simply not enough. People run out of things to buy. Yeah, you still buy the old ones, but you run out of things to buy. At least from what I've heard of really big whales, is that they don't really have anything to spend their money on. And it's not like you need to develop these things specifically for GMS, right? You can design them here, but then you can also sell them in Korea if they think it fits for them. So it's not a GMS only investment, it goes both ways. Second thing would be gameplay-wise. I would change a lot of the ways farming meso works. I would put more emphasis on bosses instead of grinding. That suits a Western audience a little bit more. Whales will whale regardless. Yeah, but if they run out of things to whale on, if they run out of things to buy, what are they gonna do? Right? PvP events like the 1 card? Do people even care about 1 card? I don't think this game suits itself to PvP. What about those whales that they would spend money if they had something they wanted to spend their money on, but they don't really have something that they want to spend it on? Or even, you know, people like me, who if there was something that I really wanted from the cash shop, I would buy it, but there isn't, so I never really buy anything. The only thing I've ever bought was transparency things for my bishop, because I didn't like the look of the shield. Yeah, when you buy cash shop items just to not show anything, it's it's great marketing. It's great easy development as well. You just hide things. You don't even need an artist for that. Yeah, that would be my fix from a commercial standpoint. If they wanted to make more money, I think that's probably the best way to go in the West. Not gonna bring them a lot of money on KMS though. Like, Maple has one of the easiest ways to get people to play a lot. Instead of artificially inflating playtime with hours of grinding and exponential XP things and whatnot, you can just make people play more than one character. You have the easiest solution, which is you have 40-something characters, just make people play more than 2 or 3. Yeah, Legion is for that, but do they really incentivize you to play those characters, or do they just incentivize you to have them high level? Not really both, because if you want to... The time you need to invest into one character to make it like, into anything is really high. Yeah, bossing used to be a decent XP. I mean, it still is, right? If you do Chaos Horntail at the appropriate level, and you do Zakum at the appropriate level, you get a lot of experience. But yeah, those are the old bosses and they still give you a lot of experience. Yeah, high level bosses don't give you anything. But yeah, you could increase the... First of all, you would increase the boss crystal to be in line with the meso increase. Currently we have 6 times meso, right? And boss crystals are only like 3 times. So you First you would bring all of that in line with each other, I guess. You could even nerf meso grind rates a bit and increase boss drop. I don't know, I would lean, for our audience, I would lean more towards bossing than mobbing. Yeah, people would be bossing on 3 carrots. Like, that's how non-reboot KMS plays. Like, there's more bossing done in non-reboot KMS than there is in reboot GMS. Why do you think Adele is like the most played character in Korea? It's not just because it's strong, it's because people made a lot of CRA mules with their Adeles. So people have like 5 or 6 Adeles in each account just so they can farm CRA every week. Yeah, that's the KMS meta for meso farming. But like, we can't do that because the meso rates are way higher than the bossing rates. For whatever reason. Oh yeah, another thing would be Maple Tour entry tickets for RP or whatever. Or just make them all free. Like, just give people more incentive to play more than one character. And you inflate playtime like that. Are like very simple things that you don't really need to develop, right? These are just tweaking numbers. It's not like you need to invest much into getting these. Another thing I would address if I were GMS is the availability of totems. Like, the existence of Kishin is just something you can't remove anymore, but you also don't. It's like, you either double down and you design your game completely around the rates you get from Kishin, or you don't. Right? You can't design the game around the rates for Kishin and then not give everyone a way to get Kishin rates. Like, forcing people to play a class to meso farm is ridiculous. Decent Kish? Make boss drop totems. Well, that's something I didn't think of, but it might actually be a good idea. No joke. Instead of making it a cash up item, you make it something you can transfer through storage, and you also add an incentive to play other characters that way, right? Because you want to boss on more characters to get more access to more totems. Not completely a bad idea. Yeah, we will put it on events, but then they never put them, because that requires development work. I would rather remove Maple Tour, or just make Maple Tour more... make all the runs free, or get them for reward points or something. Because Maple Tour is pay to win. I don't like pay to win, and I think Western audience doesn't like pay to win. In non-reboot, you can exchange meso for Maple points from other players. So it is pay to win, because you can just buy Maple points. Or you can buy it with an X, yeah, in non-reboot. Like 30 cents for one ticket, is it? I mean, that's still a lot, right? Because you need 5. So that's $1.50 every day? 45 bucks a month. 35 bucks a month to play mushroom games is a lot. It's like the 15 bucks a month for a vac pet. Like, at that point, I might as well go play TBC. You get me? What I mean? Like, I might as well go play Final Fantasy XIV. On top of a box cost, so... What was I saying? Oh yeah, Kishin. Like, you can't balance your game around Kishin and then not give casual players a way to get Kishin. Or like force people to play Kana. It's not really healthy game design. Yeah, 30 hours of totems per month is... For a hardcore casual, that's not a lot. For a casual, that's a lot. The thing is, a casual is not gonna sit 2 hours grinding in one sitting. So it's not gonna end up being 30 hours, it's gonna end up being less, because they're not gonna make full use of the totem. Or they're just not even gonna buy it. In which case you're just gimping the casual player even more compared to everyone else, because he's not gonna make use of something that makes everyone else stronger, just because he doesn't play the same way. Like, play everything in one sitting. So yeah, I think the way totems and Kishin and everything are designed needs to be looked over. If they still wanna bring new people into the game. Because the only people who play Maple are people who have played the game before and have nostalgia for it. I don't see Maple getting new players. Like, completely new players. Someone who's never played the game before. KMS has better respawn? No. That is a myth. They've got exactly the same spawn rate as us. Like, there are a lot of myths regarding KMS spawn rate that we have. Like, people say mobs spawn individually instead of being on a timer. That is, like, completely false. I don't know how anyone even came up with that idea and perpetuated that. But you just have to see videos of people farming and you see that that one's like a complete lie. Also, Totem, Kishin, whatever, would be a less of an issue if things were more boss oriented instead of grinding oriented. They have Fury Totems, right? No, they don't have any spawn enhancers. I don't know. GMS would benefit so much from Westernizing even more. I think you could get a lot more new people, new players involved if you did that. Not the funnest version. Like, I like grinding sometimes. Or else I wouldn't be playing Maple, right? I'm not gonna say that grinding is bad, because, you know, there is some appeal to it. I'm just saying it's not gonna be the most Western-friendly approach to something. Because, like, there was one guy in the KMS conference thing, and he was like, what is the goal of Maple? And he said, what was it? One of the directors said it's grinding, and he said, no, it's grinding while watching Netflix. And I'm like, if you're gonna complain about the grinding in Maple, then you're probably playing the wrong game, right? It's like complaining in a shooter that you need to aim. It's like, or like complaining in a MOBA that you need good reaction time and coordination. It's like, and that's why people get aimbots, right? The same reason people get bots to grind for them, because they don't want to do the thing. Like, you're playing the wrong game if you're complaining about the grind. I'm not complaining about the grind, I just think that it would benefit from giving an alternative or a more of a focus for bossing. Never understood the cheater mentality. What if it's a case in which you don't want to do the journey, but you want to experience the destination? Because I can understand that one. Like, someone who doesn't want to put in the hours, doesn't want to put in the grind to reach endgame, but they want to try killing the Black Mage. No, they just want to be in the boss fight. They just want to try out the boss fight. And you hack your way up until you're there, and then you stop hacking and you try the boss fight legitimately. I can understand that mindset. I don't think it's correct, and I don't want it in the game, but I can understand someone doing that for that reason. It's like the same reason people buy level boosts in MMOs. They don't want to do the leveling, but they want to experience the end game. Might as well play a private server, yeah. And that's why a lot of people play private servers, because they have higher rates and all of that. Get about 7 pieces to legendary and made an extra set of gear with about 5 bill. I wish there was DMT, but you know, that's no longer a thing because reasons. Maple is known to have 3 DMTs a year, but then suddenly it's like, well, we're gonna not do DMTs and give no valid reason as to why. Probably because of Reboot NA, but they haven't said anything. And Reboot NA is not the only server in the game, even though it's technically the biggest. I also don't get why KMS has Spell Trace Fever weekends every single week, and we don't. It's not a reboot thing, so it might go over a lot of people, but they got it every single week on Sundays. Like, I would have queued differently if there was a DMT. I would have gotten drop gear and meso gear on more characters. Yeah, or our Star Force cost being different. There's also no real explanation as to why Star Force costs are so different. And if the argument is Kishin, then I go back once again to you can't balance around Kishin if you don't give Kishin to everyone at all times. No, Totem is gone already. And I've still got 8 minutes left, and I'll start another Totem, but I'm not gonna finish it. Yeah, you're getting text for something you don't have always. So, like, if you want to balance around Kishin, sure, but just make it something you always have. We get text for garbage collection in our water bills. Does it? Because it doesn't account for people who recycle. So it doesn't matter if you recycle or not, at the end of the day you're paying the same tax. Even though the tax is technically just for non-recycle collection. Yeah, we were also talking about, like, just make totems more available. And the thing that I've said since day -1, before they even introduced the totems, there shouldn't just be the 2-hour totem, there should be one that lasts only while you're using it. But it can be more expensive, you can do whatever. Just make it more flexible for people who don't want to sit and grind for 2 hours. Decent skills. I can understand them not wanting it 100% all the time. Plus, making a decent skill is more work, and it's harder to remove if the game balance changes in the future. Like, what are you gonna give people in return for a decent Kish node? You know? I don't know, it's harder to remove in the future. It's more ingrained in the game. It's also more development to touch like the node RNG, and it's more messy overall. Wild totems from mesos. They don't want to do wild totems for mesos because of botters. But I mean, don't botters just use Kana anyway? I don't know the logic behind that. Also, making it for meso, you're creating an imbalance between classes who farm more meso per hour than with the ones that farm less. Because say you make a totem that costs 200 mil for 2 hours. If you're farming 1 bill, or you're farming 200 mil, one is getting 0 meso and the other one is getting 800. I wouldn't do it for meso, just because of that. Same could be said for real money. No, because then it's percentage based, right? You're just doubling the amount of money both of them get. In terms of percentage, you're still getting the same difference. Yeah, you already have regulatory or frenzy service, that is true. But frenzy service is not a... it's not a game endorsed thing. It's not a game designed thing. It's a player designed thing. If people want to challenge themselves and like use a level 10 weapon or like unequip all their nodes and try to do a boss with that, that's one thing. If the game actually designs a liberation quest all around that idea, that's different. Yeah, everyone with the frenzy totem is way ahead of the curve, that is true. And I think that's a shitty design. Like, it's terrible. It's like you're permanently gimped compared to people who have it. It's like you're in a race and they're using a Formula 1 and you're in a Mini Cooper. Like you're not competing on the same level. So you do mind it. Depends on who's in there. I mean, you have to compare people with the same mentality, right? You don't mind that they're ahead of the curve? Really? You don't mind that you're permanently gimped compared to them? You're permanently in a Mini Cooper while they're in a Formula 1 car. And that's never gonna change. But yeah, you said if you have to compare who's in the car, well, you kind of have to imagine that the people in both of the cars, both the F1 and the Mini Cooper, both of them are equally minded individuals, or else you're just comparing individuals. Well, it's stupid that you can't... Like, the Formula 1 car is off the market, you can't even buy it if you want to. That's what's bad design, in my opinion. So we both have a problem with the same thing, it's just the way that we word them. Like, the problem isn't them being in a Formula 1 car, is that you can't buy the Formula 1 car yourself to also race with them. It's not like your Mini Cooper or your Fiat Panda is a bad car. That's not the problem. The problem is you don't even have the option to buy a Formula 1 car if you want to race with the big boys. Like, I don't follow non-reboot too much, but people are asking for frenzy totems in like Marvel Machine and Philo Book or whatever it's called, right? People want the frenzy totems back, right? I think. Because this goes back to the whole legacy power and how much is acceptable, and I don't know, it feels as if people who don't want legacy power, the people who do want legacy power is people who want to, you know, gatekeep it from other people. I think the most important thing at the end of the day is player experience. Make sure people have fun. And I don't see why you would keep something that is fun to other people from them ever being able to obtain it. The Frenzy Totem is fun, right? Because the mob spawn and all of that makes playing the game more fun. Like, why wouldn't you want other people to have it as well? If not for your own selfish reasons. Well, yeah, I don't really spend money on Maple either, and that's why I play on Reboot. Although, I would play GMS non-Reboot if it was available. Because I think the prices there are reasonable to obtain. Like, everything seems reasonably priced, and there's an active market, and... Like, my NA account only had 3.4k Legion and a level 240. Doesn't really matter, right? I can just play here. I have more fun here, then it's worth my time to be playing here. That is also something you can evaluate yourself. If you would have more fun playing on Reboot, it might still be worth it to make the change. With what I already have on this account, I would still happily trade it over to play on GMS. At the end of the day, just be happy that Amazon didn't buy Nexon with what's going on with New World. Just be happy about that. I remember when we were like, oh, I hope that I hope that Amazon buys Nexon. No, we didn't really know how bad of a publisher Amazon would be, and now we do. It's also really hard to get accessories on GMS. I mean, it's almost as hard to get accessories on GMS than it is to get accessories on GMS right now, honestly. As you can probably tell by... Oops. By the fact that I'm wearing this ring. When was the last time you saw anyone with a Noble Atheist ring? And still, I've only got 4, 5, 6, 7 rings. I am still missing 1 ring. Just get a carry? Even getting carry, you're gonna take a real long time to get it. Like, gollux rings are impossible to get. I could get a cracked, I guess, but is it even worth it? I don't think it is. The Meister rank? I don't have any primals yet. And I don't have level 10 accessory crafting. And I don't feel like leveling it. Yeah, getting accessories on GMS right now is maybe as hard as it is in KMS. Almost. It's slightly easier, but still. And I only have all of these rings because the event store has like 4 of them. Can't solo Helix? I can solo it now, but I couldn't before. And the rings don't drop. You still need to buy it from the store, and the store is ridiculously overpriced. Like, I feel like they balanced the store considering people already had coins and they were gonna exchange them, and not to someone new coming in and trying to buy that. You know what's funny, Kami? Did Scarter ever realize that he was missing something, or was it simply the top? Because he said he was feeling like he was doing a lot less damage, and he probably was, just because he didn't have any potential on the top. But that's how much weaker he would be without a potential badge. And he was complaining about not doing as much damage, and I'm like, well, it's only 5%, why are you complaining? If you don't have a badge, you do 5% less damage, and that's not a big deal, but when you notice your damage being reduced by 5%, it is a big deal. Oh, here's another issue with familiars. Something that doesn't really happen to me often, because how often do I spend 2 totems in a single day? My familiar is dead. And I can't revive them, because I don't get any familiar jobs from here. So for hardcore players, you don't get... You can't regain your familiars if you're farming until you reach Moonbridge. Like, how does... This system is so stupid. Like, I already used up my familiars. I'm now farming with 40% or 60% less drop, however much it is. Just because I decided to play more in a single day. And I have no way around this. And like I said, the most important thing, the most important metric is player experience. Is that people have fun. And people have fun doing big numbers. People have fun killing a lot of mobs at once. People have fun one-shotting. People don't have fun knowing that there's an item that they will never be able to get. If you're a min-maxer and you want to measure your EPing with other people, then it's gonna be a big deal. And if there's something that is not short in Maple, is people who want to measure their EPing size. Which is why a lot of people play Dual Blade, Night Lord, Hero, Arc, Adele. People who want to measure their EPing size play those classes, and most people in Maple play those classes. How many people have a Coniformer, right? If people didn't care about min-maxing, they wouldn't have a Coniformer. People wouldn't play on 2 computers at once if they didn't care about min-maxing. Also, the badge is going to be a bigger difference in certain classes, like Bishop. Because you're missing out on final damage for Benediction. And that is a big deal. That is not just 5% damage for you, that's like 1 or 2% final damage for each one of your party members. And if they also don't have a badge, then it's another 5% that gets amplified by your 5%, so they're missing out on like 6% damage. So if you've only got 400%, then three boss familiars increase your damage by 18%. 18.7%. You didn't get a single one yet? Well, you should have played when the familiar rolled out and it was super easy to farm them. Why don't you have like 1000 junior bogies or Oda warriors in your bank? Just play on patch day for 48 hours when you can farm them. God, it's such a bad system. Yeah, I'm just saying that if you farmed during the launch day of familiars, you had a 48 hours in which you could farm junior boogies, epic, with like ridiculous drop rates. And if you didn't play during that time, then no familiars for you. You didn't know it was broken. Yeah, because that was the intended rate, but then they were unintended, and it's like... it's such a terrible system. I don't even want to think about it. It just makes me sad. I would rather the system just not be in the game at all. If it's gonna be implemented like that. Just go back to the old codex. Give everyone 30% IED. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me in an MMO progression. The game is currently almost as hard as it was just because of changes in GMS. It's like, sure, leveling is easier, and getting Arcane Force is easier, but in the long run that doesn't mean anything, because while I'm leveling faster, I'm kind of thinking about leveling the Mihail to 200 just to try it out, and get like all Cygnus Knights to 200, because I might as well. There's only 3 left. You can't deal with gollux. I haven't done gollux on the bishop since the change. I don't know how bad it is. Because I can just cheese the whole boss with this guy. Yeah, it is pretty bad, I know, but I can just cheese... Because I tried to do it on the Ilium. But the Ilium is kind of weak. With this guy, I just drop that crystal down, and he attacks the crystal 100% of the time. Ooh, you know what would be a really good thing? If they made the Maple M Legion piece, and they made the lab piece be mutually exclusive, and make the lab piece slightly better than the Maple M one. I think that would be a really good change. So the lab piece would be the event alternative to the Maple M Legion piece. And usually event alternatives are slightly better than what you can get at all times. You got me thinking about the whole limited cube sale thing, unlimited cube sale thing. But the thing you were saying about fear of missing out, it's also not that. It's that the things don't come back on a regular basis. So you don't really know if it's... gonna come back as 25%, if it's gonna come back as 30%. But it's not so much the missing out part, it's the you're saving for like saving for 5, 10, 15. Yeah, it's not a major problem, but like when you're saving for 5, 10, 15, you know it's gonna be a 5, 10, 15. It's not gonna be you know it's gonna be 30% off Star Forcing. When you're saving for a 50% off Irregularity reroll, you know it's gonna be a 50% off. It's not gonna be it's not like it's gonna be you know, 13% off Star Force. So you can make your decision of saving for those events, keeping in mind that it's going to be that specific outcome. But yeah, the saving being a bad thing. Maybe the events are too big. Maybe the discounts are too big. But you also can't stop giving the limited fixes. Limited fixes, yeah, it also does. But then what are you gonna do about Star Forcing? Yeah. I mean, limiting fixes it, but making it regular also fixes it. Yeah, it makes people feel bad that they didn't save money. That is true. And it's given with a very short notice as well, so that's even worse. If I got lucky, it's fine. I don't know if I got lucky. I don't really know. But it's more of I put the potentials to good use, right? Because if I didn't do it then, I would have grinded this whole time without any drop gear. And, you know, it's not like I'm not... it's not like that exists in a vacuum, and I didn't do anything during that time. So I made use of the potentials anyway. Now, if I spent it like 1 week before and I didn't even get a chance to use them, and then there's a 30% off, then yeah, that is pretty bad. I think there should be more regular and more announcement time before it. I just announce all of the event discount things 6 months in advance. And then you make your decisions of, do I want to spend now or do I want to save? Because I know on this day there's going to be an event. You're not just saving for saving. And I think then you don't feel as bad about saving, right? Because you know on which day things are going to come that you're going to use your savings. If anything, that might even push people to play more. Because they know an event is coming up, so they need to grind and farm to make use of it. If they know 6 months in advance that there's going to be an event, like a DMT on a certain day or a cube sale on a certain day, then they're gonna grind before that, instead of being like a 1 week notice thing and then everyone's panicking and grinding at last minute. So yeah, it's not so much that I don't like the idea of people saving their investments. It's that the savings are too big, or they're not announced with enough time. Because again, it goes back to what you said. If you spent your money last weekend, it's like you had no way of knowing this was gonna come. I mean, you did because there's data mined information, but that doesn't count, right? A normal person won't have access to that information. If, let's say, 2 months ago they said, well, there's gonna be a cube sale on the weekend of the 15th. And you're like, oh, that's 2 months away. But I need these things that I need to queue. Do I want to queue them now or do I want to wait? But also, at some point, if things like 5, 10, 15 and 30% off are so common, why are they events in the game anyway and not just, you know, part of the game all the time? Like, if you play around considering that these are a thing because they're so common, it's just part of the game at that point, then why are you limiting people being able to progress until a certain day where you decide to open the floodgates? What is the design process behind that? Why is the game being designed around artificial scarcity of things that you could just have permanently available all the time? Is the game really that bad that you need to hold people back in order to keep them playing? Because they'll quit if they have everything that they want? Well then, I think at that point there's something wrong with the game and design in the design stage. It's like the New World thing. I don't know if you were here when I was talking about that. Game hasn't even launched yet and they're already talking about what they're gonna do in terms of monetization. It's like you haven't even... You're already talking about pay to win and you haven't even launched the game yet. You're already talking about adding pay to convenience and pay to win when the game isn't even in alpha. Is that really a good design? A really good way to approach a game is to design it by making it intentionally bad and then adding an option to pay for the game not to be bad. It's like everyone's taking the mobile design approach to designing a game and transferring it onto every single game that you can put it on. Make people weak and give them an option to pay to not be weak. Make players have to click something 50 times and then give them an option to pay to only click once. Like, why did you make the person click 50 times in the first place? You're intentionally designing a bad game so that you can pay for it not to be a bad game. But that makes money, so that's why people do it. Mobile games are the worst thing to have happened to gaming since, I don't know, since graphics. Since realistic graphics. What if they did that for Maple? What if they... Why don't they do that for Maple? Like, what if they just decide, well, people are botting, right? Why don't we just sell bots? Why don't we make Maple M? Exactly. Why don't we just make Maple into Maple M and sell it as a cash shop convenience item? Like leave a totem. Oh, not care about rates? Yeah. I kinda care, right? Or else I wouldn't be... or else I wouldn't be getting meso gear and all of that. But I just don't care if it's super efficient or if it's... I get 300 mil an hour? I get 300 mil an hour. If I get 500 mil, sure. If I get 100 mil, I don't care. This is how people think Wind Archer works for bossing after 5th jump. That you just hold down one button, and that's all you do. Alright, I'll be back later.